All right, everybody, welcome back to the Be That 1% podcast. And I'm really, really excited today because for the first time on the show, we have a lawyer on and someone who has really developed such a skill in her craft that I respect. And having personally worked with her in the last few months, I can attest to her character and how she does things and her process. And it's very integrity driven and very focused on values. And so, in thinking of who I wanted to bring on the show, I couldn't help but put her on the list. And so we have Andrea Sagar today on the show. She is a mother of two. She left big law and founded a full service law firm designed to provide affordable legal services to small business owners after there wasn't much focus on law for them. She's currently ranked number 22 out of 4,000 trademark attorneys, which is,
40,000.
yeah, did I say
You
40,000?
said
Oh,
4,000.
no, 40,000. Yes, 40,000, which is, yeah, let's emphasize that number. She has a 97.8% trademark application success rate, which is impressive. She is 131 days faster than the global average, which speed is important, especially when we're talking about trademarks and anything law oriented. She's represented 1,000 plus trademark owners and over 700 brand owners. She's also, fun fact, a semi-professional poker player, and in 2024 reached her first final table at the World Series of Poker, placing ninth out of, I'll get this number right, 1,245 people in the ladies' championships. And so, wow, awesome. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, I had to correct the 4,000 to
Please.
40,000. And the reason I will tell you why, because I used to sleep on that stat. I started at number 27
Mm,
and I didn't say anything about it for a long time because most attorney rankings are just, oh, best lawyers and top lawyers and basically pay to play. I never cared about those. And then after several months, I went back and looked. I was like, wait, no, this is actually impressive. Like they actually aggregate all your data, look at how well you actually perform.
mm.
And so that is one number that I like to share.
Well, it's divine that I fumbled on that to really drill home the point and for you to pat yourself on the back one more time because that's well deserved. And thank you for being on the show. And I guess let's start personally and tell us like why law and how you got into it.
Beautiful question. I wanted to be a lawyer to make a lot of money. I thought I was going to work my way up in big law, be married to my job, be a partner, and make all this money.
Mm,
I grew up dirt poor, had, very, very true middle class, um, paid my way through college, law school, everything. Like I had so much money trauma that I knew I just want to make a lot of money.
mm,
I've always been very driven by money. And so I thought that was the path. And I, got the dream job, got the highest paying job in the city I was living when I graduated from law school. And day one, I was sitting in the office and I was like, what did I just get myself into? I remember there was these old men walking around in their three-piece suits, and it hit me that first week. I was like, oh my gosh, they have been here since they were my age.
mm.
And it hit me at that moment. I was like, I cannot sit in this chair for the next 40 years of my life. Like, I cannot do this. And I was married at the time, and he didn't want me to quit Big Law. And luckily, I had already had another business. I sold that before I started in Big Law. And so I had a network of business owners. And when I at the big firm, they constantly came to me asking for help. It was all small businesses asking for exactly what I do now, and the firm never wanted to help them, and which I understand. Like they have their ideal client. Everybody has their ideal client, and small businesses were not it. But at the time I couldn't understand because these small businesses were willing to pay the rates of the big firm, and they were
Mm.
coming to them. They weren't spending marketing dollars on going out to get these clients. They were just coming to me. And finally I had a partner tell me to my face, small businesses are not quality clients. We don't want them. And I think we all have these big defining moments in life where in that moment, like, okay, this is not it. Like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing. And for me, that was one of those moments for me. And that was February or March of 2018. And in April of 2018, I launched Andrea Sagar Law. So coming up on exactly 7 years,
Hey.
I launched my law firm. My partner at the time, my husband, was not supportive. And luckily, I grew very quickly. I had an established network, so I was able to bring in clients pretty quickly and grow. We hit 1 million in revenue within 2 years, which is pretty much unheard of as a solo attorney, especially somebody on the transactional side. So litigation, that's definitely possible when you slip and fall cases, ambulance chasers, that can be really easy with big settlement payouts. But as a transactional attorney, it is pretty much unheard of. But I just saw this need in the marketplace to serve these small businesses, the online businesses. And so I really did carve out a niche for myself. And over the past 7 years, it has been the ultimate roller coaster ride, not just business, but personal, because as any true entrepreneur knows, business is nothing more than a huge personal development journey.
Yeah.
And so I ended up really having like my big first awakening in 2020 when I decided it was time to get a divorce. And I would say in the past year, especially 6 months, I've gone even deeper, like super deep into just really a huge awakening and really, really working on myself. Like I've uncovered some deep stuff, James. But I've been working through it all beautifully, and it's been a fun journey. Like there is no other way about it. Like my personal values these days are just having fun, because there were times over the past 7 years where I just felt like I was spinning my wheels, not enjoying what I was doing. And I literally paused. I was like, what is the point of all of this if we're not enjoying our
Hmm.
lives? And so even now, like every single day, I ask myself, like, what's the most fun thing I can do? And I do that because I have to have fun. I have to be enjoying myself. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, I love that. Sounds like it's a core value of yours.
Absolutely.
Standard. What would you say is the most exciting thing that you get to do on a regular basis, let's say?
I mean, poker, absolutely poker, but I think for me, the answer that I'm actually going to give is really cool. So, the most exciting thing is actually getting to parent my children.
Hmm.
So, going through my own awakening and healing journey, I, when I first left my ex-husband, because I didn't originally want kids, or now I say I did not know yet that I wanted kids. And so we had the conversation of, hey, I will have these kids. We will have these kids, but you are the primary parent, talking to my ex-husband. And he agreed, like he knew he always wanted to be a father. I wanted to be married to my job. And so when I got divorced, it was almost, I felt like the kids were almost a burden. And I did not want to feel like that. It felt like a chore having to be a parent. And I was like, this is not okay. But I took radical responsibility for it because I knew I can change how I feel about this. I can change how I see this. And so honestly, like my healing journey has really brought me into being the greatest mother I could have ever dreamt of. And it's beautiful to be able to reparent myself. And when I'm frustrated or the kids are just being kids, just having fun, having their great old time, and I'm just like wanting to just be an adult and be kind of boring sometimes. And it's like, no, like let's take a step back. How did you want to be parented when you were their age? And let's do that instead of the yelling and the screaming and the just all the unhealthy stuff
Hmm.
that I saw growing up. So honestly, that's been most exciting. And my time is already split with my kids 50-50. And so it really is exciting for me to know, like, oh my gosh, we get to spend this full weekend together and get to experience new things with them, but also I get to apply new teachings that I've learned with them, teaching them about emotional intelligence, teaching them just like all the skills that I've learned as an adult. I always say that I feel like I'm learning how to be an adult at 33.
And on,
Yes.
that
Yeah,
process never
exactly.
ends.
So I think people usually expect me to say poker is most exciting, which it is very exciting. But for me, what I'm most excited about right now is parenting and learning how to be a better parent every single day.
That's great. Yeah, kids are the best teachers, and they do remind us to play. Like it's that
Yes.
imagination. So
Yes.
good job keeping that alive.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into how do we protect our businesses, our brands, our hard work that we put into the things that we care about professionally. I know that you're very knowledgeable and masterful in the trademark space, and just watching your content and talking to you, I know that there's really three things that we can trademark, which is a brand name, a slogan, and a logo.
Hmm.
What do most people not know about trademarks that they should know?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, that's the best place to start. So this is going to be a shocker, I'm guessing, to a lot of people listening. Trademark infringement. It is not just when it's the same exact name. And in fact, two businesses can have the same exact name and it not be trademark infringement. Trademark infringement occurs when there is likelihood of consumer confusion, which means the names only have to be similar and the goods and services have to be similar.
Hmm.
And you compare the two to look at, okay, is it likely that a consumer may purchase from this company thinking that they're purchasing from this other company? And that's ultimately the question we're always asking when it comes to trademarks. Not has confusion actually occurred, is it likely? Because if you can make the likely conclusion, then that's trademark infringement.
Interesting.
So when naming a new product, naming a new service, we want to run to Google, social media, type in the name we want to use, see that it's not being used, and we're like, perfect. Or we see something similar out there, and we're like, oh, we'll add we'll make something plural, we'll spell it a different way. But all those small changes are still actually infringement if you're selling the same or similar goods or services. So when you're creating new names within the businesses, you have to make sure that it's not just the same, it's not the same name, but also there's nothing similar out there.
Hmm. I'm thinking of like as a very simple, silly example, because I can't think of anything else on top of my head other than like for whatever reason backpacks. Let's say that we have two backpack companies that are selling a similar backpack, no name correlation at all. Like there wouldn't be anything there, right? Or would there?
You can sell the same products as another business as long as the names of the
The names.
businesses
Okay, so
or
it's the
the names
names.
of the backpacks. So the trademarks are ultimately your brand identity.
Okay,
The big
cool.
three being your brand name, logo, slogan. But if anything within your business has a unique name to it, it can probably be protected with a trademark.
Beautiful. Great. And at what point should a business owner or entrepreneur get that done?
As soon as possible. However, if money is an issue, because I work with small businesses all day, every day, it is my job to make their dollar go as far as possible.
Hmm.
So as soon as possible is when you want to protect your assets, your trademarks. But at the very least, when you have momentum. And what I mean by that is a lot of people start in business trying something out. Like, oh, I'm going to test the water. I'm going to see if this works, which we know if we want to be a business owner, we need to act as if we are a business owner.
Hmm.
But that's a story for another day. I do a lot of mindset coaching as well as an attorney, as a business attorney. Um, but it's really when you make that shift from, hey, I'm trying to make this thing work to, oh, this is a thing. We're using this. Like, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And you want to make sure that nobody else can infringe on your brand. Nobody else can dilute your brand. No one else can uh, draw any similarities between yours and another brand.
Mm, love that. How long does the process typically take? I mean, I know personally, but I don't think people know how long
Yeah.
it does take, but walk us through that process.
Yeah. So let's say we file your application today. you're not going to officially be registered until at least May of 2026. So about 14 months is the minimum right now. The trademark office has plans to speed it up. We're all hoping it's going to be sped up, but you're looking at least 14 months. And it doesn't mean you have to wait 14 months to use the name. So when you come to a trademark attorney like myself, like you and I did, James, we do a search.
Hmm.
And that search is looking for those potential confusing marks, any similar marks. And we want to know, what are we up against during the application process, because it's an investment. It is going to take time, and I don't want to waste your money or your time. So the search, we require it for any application that we file. And with that search, that's where I give you the green light. I give you the go ahead because I know what the trademark office is going to say. So once we do that search and I give you the clearance, ultimately the 14 months is just a waiting period to be official. But once you get that search done, that's when you know you have the green light, you have the peace of mind, knowing that you can run with the name, grow and scale that name without fear of trademark infringement.
Hmm. That's awesome.
And
Uh,
what I found, honestly, so going back to like some of the pseudo mindset coaching that I do, so many entrepreneurs come when they're scared to be seen and they're scared to get too big because they know in the back of their mind, like, oh, I'm not legally protected. I legally don't have my ducks in a row. Like, I can't get too big because then people will find out about me. And then the moment they get these things taken care of, boom,
mm,
like their business blows up. They get all the big deals that they've been waiting start rolling in, and I'm like, yeah, of course that happened. Like you're a business owner. Like you now you're treating it like a business.
I love that. That's so true. I mean, I could totally see that correlation right there. And I know for me, with what we did, like that just gives me peace of mind to share the idea, knowing that it is protected. So
Mhm.
yeah. What else? What other services have you added that help a business owner protect him or herself from all the things out there?
Yeah. So I talk about the core three, and the core three are the three main areas of legal protection that every single business needs, no matter what industry, no matter what stage of business you're in. Every business has these same three needs. Every business likely will have additional needs, but that will depend on your business, your stage of business, the niche, etc. So the core three that everybody has to be concerned with is number one, your entity. This is how you legally operate. I'm of the belief that you should at least be an LLC, a limited liability company, as soon as possible. A limited liability gives you the same personal liability protection as a corporation, but there's less maintenance involved, there's less oversight. So an LLC is definitely typically the best way to go for a small business owner. Maybe you have a couple partners in there. But if you're going to have investors, they're going to want oversight in the business. So that's really where the corporation comes in. You have
Hmm.
your board of directors, your shareholders. That's really who a corporation is for. But if you're a small business, you're staying small, an LLC is the way to go. And the LLC protects you personally from the debts of your company. And you may have heard, anybody listening, you've probably heard somebody somewhere down the line say, oh, don't worry about the LLC until you're making X number of dollars, whatever that dollar amount is. They're like, oh, it doesn't mean anything until you're making that much. And that is very, very wrong. You need to be an LLC from day one because we're protecting you against anything you may acquire in the future. So let's say today's day one, you launch the business and you wait for the LLC because of whatever reason. And then day two comes along, you go viral and you blow up, you're making all this money. And then day three comes along, you remember, oh, I'm making all this money. Now let me go get the LLC. And so now you have it set up, you're good to go. But then day 100, day 1000 comes along and you get sued for what happened on day one or day two. And you're thinking, oh, this sucks, but at least I'm an LLC, so I'm protected personally. I'm making all this money. I have all these assets. This is great. I'm still protected. But you're actually not protected because you're getting sued for what happened before you were an LLC.
Mm.
So you have to have those layers of protection from day one. And what most people are actually referring to when they're saying, hey, wait for this dollar amount, it's the S Corp election. which is nothing more than a tax filing status. And that is accurate that you have to wait until you're making a certain dollar amount. But people who say that believe the LLC and the S Corp are the same thing, or they have to be done at the same time. They are two different they're two different things providing two different protections. So the LLC you want done right away, the S Corp election, you want that done when you are making enough money.
Hmm. That's helpful. Okay, so that's entity. What else we got?
Yes, entities. We have contracts. Number two, don't be afraid to use contracts. I have heard day in and day out, I have coached so many people over the fear of contracts. And I get it. We've all been hurt by early termination fees, or we didn't read the full contract. And so for whatever reason, we were hurt by a contract in the past. And you rightfully so don't want your clients to feel like they have been wronged by a contract. But that's not what contracts are about. Contracts are there to actually make sure that both parties are protected. So we want to make sure everything is clear, you're on the same page, literally, and ensuring that both interests are provided for and protected against. So, what contracts do you need? If you have a website, you need your privacy policy and terms of use. These live as static pages in the footer of your website. You want those no matter what. And all these contracts, especially if you're a newer business owner, there's nothing wrong with using contract templates. So I started Legalpreneur, the Legalpreneur company, as a way to help even more business owners, because I realized even though my law firm is very affordable, we were still pricing out for some entrepreneurs. So we created Legalpreneur, which has all the templates, all the DIY legal stuff. I am firmly of the belief that, hey, getting started with templates is perfectly fine, because you, especially if you're newer, you likely do not know what you like and don't like in your contracts. You just don't have the experience. So you get started with attorney drafted contracts, templates, and you'll learn what you like and don't like as you gain experience in business. And then eventually you'll be making enough money to make that investment to work one-on-one with a lawyer and just clean up your contracts. And it'll be cheaper in the long run anyway, because you already have these good templates. So that's the process that I suggest, especially newer businesses use, is start with templates, graduate to custom contracts. But besides the privacy policy and terms of use, anytime money is changing hands, hiring contractors, hiring employees, hiring a photographer, working with a social media manager, anytime value or money is changing hands, you want to make sure there is something in writing. Don't be afraid of contracts.
Love it.
And especially in the online coaching industry, I have seen my fair share of chargeback issues, which is where the customer goes to their credit card company and say, hey, this was fraud, or I didn't get what I paid for. And so the credit card company reverses the charge. Mm. Most of the time, you can still fight the chargeback to win. And the number one thing that credit card companies look for is a signed contract. That is going to be your best friend in business, especially if there's chargeback issues. So don't be afraid of them. Just use them. Have them be your friend in business.
Great. Good advice there. And then number three.
And number three is my favorite, intellectual property. This is my absolute favorite for many reasons. Obviously, I love trademarks. But so intellectual property is patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Patents are inventions. I actually don't know anything besides patents are inventions, so don't ever ask me about patents. But if you need a patent attorney, I am more than happy to send you on your way to a great referral. Now, trademarks and copyrights. These are two of the most misused terms with entrepreneurs. And the easiest way to know the difference, I'm going to tell you. Trademarks equal branding, your brand identity, your brand name, your logo, your slogan, a product name, a service name, your podcast name, your course name, a program name. Anything that has a unique name within your business, it can likely be protected with a trademark. Copyrights are your content, your creative work, your photos, your videos, your blog posts, your podcast episodes, your website copy, your long form social captions. the content inside of your courses, all of that is protected with a copyright. And the cool thing about copyrights is you automatically have protection the moment the work is created. You don't have to have a registration. Whereas trademarks, you have to have a registration in order to have federal rights. Copyrights, it's automatic.
Hmm.
And especially in today's online business world, the reason why IP is so important is because everything is IP. Your everybody listening, your business, I'm willing to bet your most valuable asset is intellectual property.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you're protecting yourself and also not letting people walk all over you. So what do you do if you find somebody has stolen your content? Somebody took your video from TikTok and posted it on YouTube or Instagram. Submit a copyright takedown. These takedown processes are available for every entrepreneur, and you don't have to have a lawyer to submit these for you. So the takedown process is when you find somebody that has stolen your content, go to the platform where it's hosted. Let's say it's Instagram. Google Instagram copyright takedown. There's going to be a reporting form. Enter all the information they ask for, and boom, it should be removed within a couple of days. And with copyrights, you can do that at any time because you don't have to have a registration. Your rights are automatic. Trademarks, same process, but you have to have the trademark registration.
Hmm.
For me, I that's how I got the Legalpreneur Instagram account. Legalpreneur and the Legalpreneur were taken. They were old dormant accounts. So the day I got our trademark registrations, submitted the trademark takedown to Instagram, they removed the accounts and I have access to both of them.
Hmm.
So you just have to learn what intellectual property you have and know how to use it to your advantage. So policing it online, great step. You want to make sure that your brand is being policed. And these are things you can do on your own. And then also your intellectual property can create so many new revenue streams. And that's where a lot of the fun, a lot of the magic happens that I like to participate in because there's so many different revenue streams you can create with your IP. Licensing programs, you can get royalties, create certification programs. Right now, I love creating certification programs because in the coaching industry, I think obviously it's like the natural progression is, do some coaching, create a course, and then you have these people that are coming to you like, hey, I want to teach what you teach. Perfect. Let's create a certification program. So
Hmm.
now it's not you growing your brand, it's all these certified professionals that are also growing your brand. So that now there's that many more eyes on your brand and you're growing even faster.
Hmm. I've always wondered with the copyright infringement, like if someone hears an idea on a podcast or something, right? And then let's just say this person is a speaker or whatever, and they reference what they heard on that podcast and present the idea, but they credit the individual. But this is a paid speaking engagement that this individual is, at. Where are the lines there of like not saying it but pretending it's yours versus using it and referencing it? What are your thoughts there?
I have a lot of thoughts. There's a lot here. So, number one, giving credit means nothing.
Got it.
If you take somebody's photo, download it from Instagram, and post it as your own on Instagram, and this doesn't mean sharing to stories because that's okay because Instagram says it's okay. But if you screenshot it, post it as your own, that's copyright infringement, even if you give credit,
Hmm.
because giving credit does not matter unless you ask somebody for a license, which is just permission. You say, hey, I love this photo? Can I post it? And they say, yes, just give me credit. So now, yes, you can use it, but you have to give them credit. And if you don't, that's copyright infringement. But that's because it's in the terms. Now, what you're referring to, eh, very layered. So giving credit, irrelevant. Taking this idea that they heard likely is not infringement to go and talk about it in this paid speaking opportunity that you have because ideas cannot be protected. The Copyright Office specifically says ideas cannot be protected. And the laws are actually in place to allow a certain amount of copying, to allow the inspiration. What's not okay is if you heard this person speaking and or maybe you heard them speaking on a podcast. So you go back and listen to, you get the transcripts, and then you give that entire speech in your paid speaking opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That is copyright infringement.
Got it.
Now, if they were speaking over here on this idea of how to do one, two, three, and then you go over here and you get paid to speak on how to do one, two, three, but it's in your own words, your own expression, your own ideas of how to do one, two, three, that's not infringement.
Cool.
It is not the ideas that are protected, it's the expression of those ideas.
Got it.
So right now, a hot topic on TikTok is create, because I think people are starting to understand, like, hey, you can't download this video and take and post it as your own. That is infringement. But what people are starting to do more and more is find a really successful video and then they recreate it with their own face, saying pretty much the same thing word for word. That is still copyright infringement.
Hmm. Fascinating.
Listen, I geek out about all this stuff. So any what ifs, I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah. How long have you been like in law so far?
Coming up on November will be 8 years. So I
8 years.
started in Big Law 2017, lasted 7 months. And this is a funny story if we have time.
Yeah.
I knew very quickly that I was not going to last. But so when I started in Big Law, my ex-husband, he started to stay home because so we had our first child in my last year of law school, which was perfect. We planned it that way. Because I knew like I'm not going to get pregnant in my first few years of practicing. Like I'm married to this job. And it's so funny to see like how deep in my masculine I was. And
For
it's so
sure.
funny looking back because I'm just the complete opposite now. But so he was staying home with our son. He didn't want me to quit, but I could see the vision and I understand. Like, obviously, we have one income, it's great money, it's a great consistent paycheck. Like, why would you want to quit and hopefully go make it work doing your own thing? I get it. Like, I get it. But anyway, so April 2018 comes around. We're not happy where we are. My family's in Houston, where we were living. We didn't have any family within 2 hours of us, and we have a newborn. So it was rough. It was rough. And so we decided to move to Houston. Monday, we put our house for sale. Wednesday, I remember texting him, and I just hated it. I mean, I absolutely hated it. I texted him and I was like, I cannot spend another day here. Can I just quit? I think we have enough money to hold us over in savings. And he said, why don't you just wait until we have a contract on the house and then you can quit? That way we know the house is going to sell. Okay, like I'm cool with that. Like that sounds like a great plan. So that was Wednesday. Friday morning, my mentor and like the head of the office there come into my office. And I knew immediately what was happening. And they basically gave me the option like, hey, you can be on a PIP for several months or whatever, or we'll pay you for the next 3 months and let you go look for a job. And it took everything in me, James, to look sad. Because
You're like, no, okay.
I'm like, oh, okay. Like trying everything to look sad. So it's Friday morning. And they're like, you know what? Take the rest of the day off. Think about it over the weekend. James, I left my office. I packed up my office so fast, left that building. I remember I talked to an attorney on Monday just to make because they gave me the agreement, like the severance agreement, and I was like, just to make sure everything's good. And I was like, I want this money and I want a lump sum payment right now. Like, I don't want to be associated with this firm anymore. So I got like this huge windfall. And it's so funny because I always say I manifested getting fired. Like, I absolutely manifested getting fired. And I remember going home that day and I'm over the moon excited. I'm like, we just got this huge windfall. I can finally start my firm. Like, this is the greatest day ever. And my husband is pissed. He is so angry. He's like, how can you get fired? Like so upset. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we just talked about like our house is for sale. Like, we're moving. Like, how are you not seeing this? So that I mean, we just were never on the same page. And so we moved to Houston in 2018. And then 2 years later during COVID, I was like, this just isn't working.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I have some questions on that, but I don't want to forget my question on law real quick. What has law taught you about human psychology or human behavior that has like caused you to see the world in a very specific way?
that is such a good question. Oh, honestly, I think we can really use the law, but the practicality of it to our advantage. And what I mean by that is I have the conversation with clients. They'll come to me with an issue and I'll say, okay, here's the law. Like, this is what would happen.
Hmm.
But here's the reality of the situation. Like, this is what's actually going to happen. And it is never, ever, ever like what the law says.
Mm.
And I think what I see now after 7, 8 years in practice is we really do create our own reality because, especially having these disputes that we're all trying to settle and resolve, we're just trying to create a happy ending and really getting to the underlying issue is the most important thing. Um, there's this show that I passively watch. I don't really watch any TV anymore, but it's the show. She was a lawyer. She worked for her dad. The dad died, and now she's a mediator. And she does a really, really good job at just figuring out, like, hey, what's the underlying issue here? Like, what are they really, really after? And around business and life, it's getting to that underlying reason. Because as we know, we're always chasing after something. We want to earn more money, or we want to earn this, achieve that, but it's not ever the thing. There's always the underlying thing. And so I think what I've learned the most is we can skip so many steps just by getting to what the underlying thing is.
Hmm. Yeah, when I hear that, I think of, the law, there's what the law says, and then there's the interpretation of what the law means. And
Mm-hmm.
depending on someone's perception and communication skill and ability to argue another reality or interpretation of the law and gain agreement on that reality, then it doesn't really matter what the original definition was, as long as everyone who agrees on the new reality based on the old definition of the law, like that's what I'm picking up, and that's fascinating.
100%. And honestly, I one of the cheat codes that I like to use is just agreeing with the other side all the time, all the time. Like, yeah, absolutely, you're right. You're so right. And they're like, yeah. And then like you name what you want, like done, because you agree with them. Like they can you can out like consciously say you agree with them, and immediately their guard comes down, and they're like, hey, I like this person. Hey, yeah, like let's give them whatever they want. Like they know we're right.
Hmm.
Agreeing with people has changed the game for me.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Fascinating. Thank you for that share. That's really a cool insight right there. Okay, back to parenting and family orders. Like, how is it, as a single mom, raising two? I know that you split time, but what are the challenges there, and what do you have that supports you with those challenges, or what have you learned that supports you in those challenges?
I I I think the hardest thing honestly sometimes can be just not having a partner at all times.
Yeah.
Luckily, my parents, especially my dad, like it's pretty much me and him
Hmm.
against my kids whenever whenever there's a lot going on. So they're 8 and 6. They're very active, baseball, softball. We're in the thick of baseball and softball season, and it's practice, a game, a tournament every single day.
Same. Yeah.
Which I love it. I grew up playing softball. I get it. I love it. But sometimes it can be very hard
Hmm.
trying to get them here, trying to get them there, and then like I'm only one person, so luckily my dad steps in a lot. But what was beautiful this week, I woke up Wednesday deathly ill. And I keep my kids Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So I wake up Wednesday deathly ill. I'm supposed to drive my dad to go have surgery. So I'm having to take the kids to school early and then go take him to have surgery. But I wake up, James, and I cannot do anything. So I call my ex-husband. He doesn't answer. I call his girlfriend. Thankfully, she answered. And I'm like, okay, so I don't know what to do. I'm dying. She's like, oh, it's okay. I'll take off today and I'll take your dad. I like
Mhm.
melted right there because whenever I left my ex-husband, I straight up told him, I said, I love you. I'm just no longer in love with you. I want to be a family. I don't want to be married to you. And so 5 years later, like that's ultimately what we have created. And I'm so thankful that we have this beautiful relationship now where like he's so, don't get me wrong, like he gets on my nerves, but we have a beautiful co-parenting relationship. And like a couple of weeks ago, it was my daughter's birthday. And I'm in Houston. They had the Houston rodeo, and my ex took my son to the rodeo to see Journey, and because my son loves Journey, so they went to go see Journey, and it was my daughter's birthday the next day, and I said, "Hey, what do you want to do on Friday? We'll have a girls' night." He was like, "She said, oh, I want to go eat with Alyssa, and she has a couple of friends, so the dad's girlfriend." And I was like, perfect, let's go. So I texted Alyssa. I was like, hey, Allie wants to go with you and the girls. And we all just had a great old time for my daughter's birthday. And I've been so thankful that we have very intentionally created this beautiful dynamic for the kids because my ex, he's a child of divorce. I'm not. I'm a child of should have been divorced parents. So
Yeah.
very unhealthy dynamics just in different aspects. And he had a terrible upbringing with the parents being divorced. And so we've been very intentional about creating the environment that we want for our kids. And where we live, I'm like at the beginning of this road, a mile down the road. My parents' street's right there, and then he lives a few miles up the road. So we're all right here, and like we switch every weekend, but it's we just let the kids decide. And because I we believe in giving the kids choice, um, really hearing like giving them a voice.
Hmm.
So it's beautiful, and I'm really proud of the dynamic we've created for the kids to
That's
just
amazing.
hopefully like my greatest wish is just that they always feel loved in a
Mhm.
healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah, and your situation is not unfortunately not the common
Yeah.
situation. So
And
which
it took
speaks,
time.
yeah, yeah, I'm not saying it didn't, but it speaks to the level of intention and commitment to want to create that,
Mhm.
and a lot of effort. So kudos. Uh, some final questions here. What's one thing the world needs more of right now?
Love. Love. And not just words of love, but feelings of love. I've so when I left my ex-husband, I never felt emotions up until that point. So like I started working with a coach and I was like, I'm good. I don't even cry. Like I'm fine. Like she's like, oh girlfriend, we have a lot of work to do.
Here's a tissue.
Yeah. And over the past 5 years, I have learned about emotions. I've learned about emotional intelligence. And even working, in the world, my personal life, but also in working relationships, working with other attorneys as opposing counsel, love. Like that is I feel like that is the answer. Like just because we know people want to be seen and validated, which is a form of love.
Hmm.
And when we can give that to people, no matter where they are, like that immediately brings their guard down. It immediately just makes things so much easier for everybody around. So I am very much a huge proponent of spreading more love, spreading not just words of love, but feelings, like doing what you can to make people feel seen and heard and validated.
Love that. And I think the more we do that for ourselves too,
Yeah.
the easier it'll be to give and to acknowledge when other people are giving it to us.
Yeah, that's been a big one for me too, because I mean, I've been hard on myself my entire life. And I would say within the past few months specifically, I've learned to be more gentle with myself. And because there's so many times I'm like, oh, I'm so mad at myself for doing this or doing that. I'm like, no, like I did the best I could at the time. And now I know how to just do better.
It's so wild how fast those beat yourself up thoughts come
Yes.
milliseconds.
Yes.
And if you're not a very mindful person that cares deeply about being your own best friend, you could get swept up so fast in that hurricane
Hmm.
of self degradation and just beating
Listen,
yourself up.
this is what I've been going through lately. So the beginning of 2025 has been like I knew going like at the end of 2024, I knew I was like, I really feel like a lot more coming to the surface that I want to work on and heal. It came up, all right. What I've uncovered was I actually did have a deep feeling of unworthy of love. Um, and not knowing how to cultivate safety in my own body and not knowing how to return back to safety. And I realized I was putting it on other people. And very quickly, like once I noticed it, I was like, oh, these friendships aren't what I thought they were. It was pseudo safety. This relationship, it was pseudo safety.
Yeah. Familiar, but not safe.
Yes. And that is one big thing that I've been working on healing this year is really just being able to be my own best friend and not have to feel like I have to put all this other stuff on people to feel safe.
I think that's one of the greatest gifts that anyone can give themselves. And there's degrees of safety, right? Like physical safety. I believe in
Mm-hmm.
my ability to protect myself. Emotional safety, where I could be vulnerable. Psychological safety, where I can tell you certain things and, trust that you're going to keep it between each other. And then maybe even spiritual safety, where faith comes in and it's something bigger than you, that you believe something just has your back or is protecting you, right? Like these degrees of safety.
Mm-hmm.
But when one can get to a really good level in all of those, there's like an invincibility. Not that you're reckless, but there's an unshakability of like I
The
am,
confidence.
yeah, and you walk through life like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it people feel it, and you can
Mm-hmm.
bring safety to an unsafe environment and make people feel comfortable around you, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what is a quote that you kind of live your life by or really say to yourself regularly?
Oh, oh man. I feel like there's a lot of things I have to repeat to myself lately, but one thing, I think one quote that has always stuck with me, I actually have it tattooed on me, is everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
And I am reminded of it every single day. Because when I think something bad is happening or negative is happening, it's like, no, like it's just showing me something. It's here for a reason. If something feels hard, okay, what am I resisting? Like, what's the reason? Like, it's all happening for a reason. Because I believe everything gets to be easy. Everything can be easy unless you want it to be hard. I don't want things to be hard. I want to have an easy, nice, soft life. And so if it's hard, there's a lesson here. There's something I need to work through. And so just reminding myself that no matter what is happening, there is a reason behind it. We just got to figure out the reason sometimes.
Do you see the reason as a gift?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
A hundred
So
percent.
then underneath that thought right there for you seems like there's gratitude there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll get very transparent here. I very recently went have gone through like I don't want to say a friendship breakup, but a very big friendship transition who also has worked for me for the past 5 years. maid of honor in my wedding. And when I realized like I it's been pseudo safety. It's in pseudo safety, and it has been like it was hard over
Mm-hmm.
like admitting it, seeing it, getting through it. And the whole time I'm like, it's okay. Like it's this is happening for a reason. Like we have to get through this to get to the good shit. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have to get through this to get to the good shit. It's all happening for a reason. And it like sometimes some days I just repeat it. Like it's all happening for a reason. It's all happening
Mm-hmm.
for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Um, there's on the similar vein, something that I believe too is like things are happening for me, not to me,
Yep.
right? Like there's just a lesson in it all, and find the lesson and you get the growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Andrea, thank you so much for your time, your
Thank
wisdom, your
you.
honesty, your transparency, and your fun, bubbly personality. And is there anything that you want to say as we wrap up that, can tie this episode in a bow?
Yeah, if you wait until you need a lawyer, you've waited too long.
Mm.
If you wait until you get the cease and desist letter, you wait until you get that mean, nasty letter, you've waited too long. So don't be afraid of lawyers and just be proactive about the legal protection. Don't wait. Don't be reactive. Be proactive.
Beautiful. Yeah, check her out, guys. She's on Instagram. She's on all the platforms. She's got her own website. It's beautifully done. And like I said, I've used her before too, so I can vouch for the service. And thank you for your time, Andrea. And I hope
Thank
you
you.
continue to flourish and send in love to the fam. And
Thank you.
appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much.